Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
Pour it on, Chunky.
We've got Chris.
Sir does not appear in this podcast.
And I'm Ki. Welcome to the show. We've got an interesting one today. We're reading probably the most modern comic we've ever read. It came out like 2 months ago, right? Something like that. It is Neil Gaiman's Chivalry, which is a... Oh, boy, okay, I'll explain in a second. We're also reading... we're finishing the Korvac Saga. We are on Avengers 177, the big finale of the Korvac Saga. We've been reading this thing for a while now. We've got all the big payoff coming up, so stick around for that. But yeah, Neil Gaiman's Chivalry. This was a short story that Neil Gaiman wrote in 1992 that a woman named Colleen Doran wanted to adapt to a comic book. And did y'all read her like letter in the back of the?
The copyright date says 98, by the way, on the book. I'm not sure if that was 92, but whatever.
Who knows? I don't know.
Stories.
All my searches said 92, so I don't know.
Weird. Okay.
So she put together just this adaptation and wrote it all in a really drew it all in a really beautiful style here. I don't know how much.
I do wonder, like, you know, 'cause she wrote that, like, how much of this is like artist driven, because it's basically a short story that a dude wrote 20, 30 years ago. And like, how much involvement did he have in writing this? Like, it sounds like he collaborated with notes and they've worked together, like on Snow Glass Apples, which also, if that's similar to this, I'm interested in reading. But
that won Eisner Awards. I assume this will at least get nominated.
Yeah.
So
was that I'm assuming is that Snow White something?
I think so. And then they worked together on the Sandman in the early 90s. So that would be, I guess, whenever she first was aware of this story. 30 years later, here it is.
Yeah, it's not a bad medium. Like, getting the final thoughts. Like, I've read like Neil Gaiman short story collections before. Can't remember which one I read now. What it was named, Smoke and Mirrors or something maybe. Just a bunch of good 20-page short stories that absolutely make sense to adapt into a 70-page comic. It's a good format. And there's a bunch.
Why not?
Yeah, there's like Neil. I read this and went in like libraries and stuff, and there's like Neil Gaiman collections of like 4 short stories adapted to comics that are like, 200-300 pages you can get from your library. Sounds good.
Yeah. I don't know how much more preamble there really is. There's not like a big history behind these characters or anything like that. Is there anything we really want to say about it before we jump into it?
No, I mean, Chris, I think you just recommended this. And I was like, sure, it sounds great.
Colleen Doran, again, she worked on the Sandman, great artist. She has done some other work, but not a whole lot of like mainstream stuff. It's mostly, her collaborations with Neil Gaiman. And she, I guess, I forget, I think there was a rights issue with this. She's had some problems with like losing rights to her work in the past. Like she wrote a story called A Distant Soil when she was like in high school. But then lost the rights to it for like 20 years. So I don't know if this had a similar deal, but
this said it was locked up with like movie rights or something for a while.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, she's had delays with her work in the past, and she talks about it too. She wants to copy the aesthetic of the like 19th century and turn of the century like Arthurian like artist style of the illustrations that would be in these, King Arthur stories. Right. So it's a very like classical style and not necessarily what we normally are looking at for the podcast.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of lettering that also reminds me. I saw like the Book of Kells, and she was trying to go for like this like gold leaf lettering that like, or like page work that just doesn't translate to print very well. But yeah, very painterly, very like watercolors. I think she said she hadn't done watercolors in a long time for a whole comic book either. It's really nice art. We're getting ahead.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But yeah, let's jump into it. Our main character is a nice old woman named Mrs. Whitaker. And this book is very slice of life most of the time, where she's just kind of living her life, and she's a widow. She lives alone. She likes to go out to the store. There's a nice little thrift store she likes to check out pretty often. And
I've been to an Oxfam. I didn't realize that this is what this was. It was kind of like a Salvation.
Oxfam.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Salvation Army Goodwill store. I don't know if y'all have those in other parts or places for listeners. But yeah, it's just like places where donations are. It seems like a, like a nonprofit organization that like I didn't realize like doesn't even pay its staff. It's all like volunteer based, kind of like a co-op, I guess. I absolutely bought
Yeah.
books and clothes from an Oxfam once. Absolutely,
Wow.
I've been in a store.
Are Oxfams? I guess those would have to be only in England, right?
At least though, I mean, it was definitely in London when I went to it. Yeah.
Well, okay. And there's just the style of this book. It's hard to describe, but the way it describes every little thing that's happening, and just like it doesn't feel like it's stretching things out. It doesn't feel like it's like, oh, you're just listing details for the sake of listing details. It lists just enough details to make it like, yeah, this feels real. She's looking at this like stuffed snake that they've had forever and no one's bought. The clerk, they named the clerk. What was her name? It's like a young woman. Marie. There we go. She's maybe my favorite detail in the book. She's reading like one of the questionnaires in a magazine that tells her what her true personality is. But before she answers the question, she's flipping to the back to see how many points each question is worth, and like each answer is worth to decide what her answer is going to be.
Flipping ahead to see what like, oh, this is the renegade option.
This
is gonna, I've done that. This narration, because I don't know how much this is actually from the original text, but it's got that classic kind of Gaiman and good British writerness of it's very mundane yet fantastical at the same time. It treats even the fantastical as very mundane, and I really like that.
And then she finds the Holy Grail and decides to buy it. It costs 30 pence. And, she goes home, she washes it, she shines it, she puts it up on the mantle where it looks very nice. And
next in picture of her husband and her husband and a basset hound.
Yeah, China basset.
Yeah. Oh, it's a China basset. Yes.
And I love how it just says like it's like this like kind of wide shot of her sitting in her chair, looking at her fireplace mantle, and it's like she had been right. It did look nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She told the clerk, like, yeah, it's gonna look nice on my mantle, and she's like, I don't, whatever. She doesn't say it.
Yeah, she just kind of shrugs, like, okay,
yeah, whatever. But yeah, she's very pleased with how it looks.
I think Colleen Doran, by the way, said that Marie looked like her at that age.
Yes, she did. She wrote a lot, like she drew a lot of the characters based on people she knew.
I think Miss Whitaker looks like her mom. That's what she said.
Yeah. And then, so the next day, Miss Whitaker's friend comes over. They usually do like a Friday brunch kind of deal where they go to each other's house every other week. And the friend brought over some cookies and they had some tea. The friend always brings her own sweetener in a little plastic baggie. And
I should do
what's that thing?
I thought about that. I was like, I should do that because I always like, I'm the only friend of mine that likes creamer in his coffee, and I usually drink stevia as opposed to like other sweeteners. I'm like, I should just be rolling with a few like creamers and stevias in my pocket or in my car.
That's not a bad idea. I like to put honey in my tea, so I usually keep a bunch of honey packets at work.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the way to do it. So this friend is like, hey, what's that up on your mantle? I don't remember exactly how it comes up. She's like, oh, it's just the Holy Grail. And I don't know. This is where the book like kind of shifts a little bit, and
it's not like because you would think like she's not aware of its like magicalness. She just thinks it's a normal cup, and then is told that it's got magical properties, and she's like, I don't know about that. No, she knows like, it's the Holy Grail.
Yeah, it's weird. It is. It's very bizarre, but in like a nice way that's just like, okay, just take it as fact. She knows it's the Holy Grail, and she's got it, and that's it. So after her friend leaves, a guy named Galahad comes over. Okay, so this is my question. It's Galahad, right? And they spell it like that in the letter afterwards. But here they spell it Galaad. Galahad? Is that what
they spell it with no H the entire book except once. One time it's with an H, which I don't know if that was a mistake or not. There's also like she paid 50 pence for something that was 30 pence and only got 10 pence change. I don't know if that was a mistake either.
Didn't she buy something else too?
Maybe that's it.
I think she did.
Okay. But like, yeah, I'm like, because I don't know Arthurian myth very well. I watched The Green Knight this last year, and I think I told Chris, I think I was talking to you, I was like, I don't know any of this story at all. And my wife Kimberly like knows all about The Green Knight. She knows exactly where the story's going. I'm like, I have no fucking clue where it's going. And there's the same here with this. I'm like, I think he's an Arthurian dude. I don't know. I don't know shit about Galahad or Galad, and to know if they're different, like Thorin, son of Thrain. Like, there's a distinct difference between them. I don't know. Chris,
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
you
know
can
anything
illuminate it.
What are you asking me exactly?
So is Galahad and Galahad with no H in there? Is that the same dude?
Yeah, I think it's just it's the more of the Celtic spelling versus the English spelling. I think that's all it is.
I like I'm putting you on the spot, and you know what I'm talking about. So
There were a few other spellings like that I noticed. No, nothing that I like wrote down, but I do remember seeing a few things like, oh, that's spelled interestingly.
Mm-hmm.
So Galahad shows up. He's a knight, and I wrote him as a knight. I don't know if they call him a knight, but he's knightly, you know.
He is a
he's
knight
got
of
a
the
horse
table
and
round,
everything.
according to his ID card.
Okay, there we go. Shit. Well, it's not an ID card. So he first off, he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for the Holy Grail, the Sand Grail, and can I come in? Do you have it?" And she's like, "Yeah." He says, "Can I come in?" He's like, "Not without some identification." And he's got a big old scroll that's like, "Hey, the knight Galahad is on a quest to find the Grail." And there's a very nice drawn picture of him that looks just like him. So it's a photo ID. And I thought that was a nice touch. But see, he comes in and she's very nice to him. They have a very nice, she offers him some drinks and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, can I have the Grail? It's my quest." She says no. She really doesn't want to part with it. So I guess that's that. And he leaves. I think he gives like some, the kids outside really like his horse, and he gives them some like sugar cubes to feed the horse. Very nice of him. They're both very. It's a very like polite exchange between the two of them, who are both just good people. And she's like, "No, I don't really want to do this thing where I give you the Grail," and he just says okay and leaves.
Yeah, it doesn't really get escalated.
It doesn't get escalated, and he just says okay and leaves. Okay. So she goes about her life for a while. She goes to church. It's not like, she doesn't love the church. She thinks it's a little bit too like, hey, we're all here hanging out. Whatever. It's fine. She does some gardening. She's picking the slugs out of her garden, putting them in a little baggie instead of killing them. Galahad shows up again. And she says, "Hey, while you're here, make yourself useful. If you want to, go put these slugs over the fence so they're out of the garden." And then they have some lemonade. She gets him some water for his horse. The horse's name is Grizel, by the way. Pretty good horse name. Galahad has also brought a gift. He's got like a giant thing. I thought it was a didgeridoo at first, just from the shape of it. But it's wrapped in oiled leather. And he says, "I can offer you this sword for the Sand Grail. This is the sword Balmung, which was forged by Wayland Smith, and it's said that whoever holds it, will always strike true and will be invincible in battle and all that kind of stuff." She's, she thinks about it for a bit, and she's like, my husband would have liked that. He probably would have put a spot for it, with all his stuff, but I really just don't want it. And he says, "Well, okay." He's a little bit disappointed. But, again, it's still a very, he accepts it. And she makes him a cream cheese and cucumber sandwich for the road. And it's all just very nice.
And I love the posing of, when Galahad is told, like, no, he's just, like, so sad sitting there.
He's very sad, but he just takes it very reasonably, there's nothing stopping you from just taking this Grail,
That's not the honorable thing to do.
That's not. You're right. So Galahad's gone. He's got his sandwich for the road and everything. What's our main character's name again? Whitaker, Miss Whitaker. She goes about her life now. She goes to visit her friend in the hospital. Her friend has a bad hip. She makes her some fruitcake with no walnuts in it because she knows her friend's teeth are getting kind of old and up there. She goes to visit her friend. Then, the next day she's up in the attic cleaning, and she misses the postman. The postman was at her door, leaving her. Had a package for her, but she has to get down the stairs kind of carefully because she's getting a little bit up there. and she misses the postman, but he left a little slip, so she goes to the post office to pick up the package. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this guy's mailing her stuff now, but it's not Galahad. It's just a package from her niece from Australia, and it's some nice photograph of the family and a conch shell, and it's nice. It's so much nice details and has nothing to do with like the main plot of the story, but it just fills in so much of her life and everything and what she enjoys and how she likes collecting things. Very, very lovely. She goes to the thrift store again, and this time that same clerk, Marie, is like super done up. She looks like, I don't know, out of the 80s punk scene or something. Very, very different. Marie tells her about the handsome man that was looking for the Grail. And so she just told this guy where Mrs. Whitaker lives. That seems not okay.
Yeah, well, she tells her that she's sorry that she did that, but she's like, well, he seemed nice.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. And it's like, yeah, don't worry. He found me. She looks at a bunch of books. She picks up a copy of Romance and Legend of Chivalry. And there's like something written in red on the title page on the top right. It's Ex Libris Fisher. Is that what it is? And she kind of like, I don't know, she gives a little look and she puts it down. I never figured out exactly what this was about. Do y'all know what this was about?
I didn't.
Chris?
That just means from the library of. So I don't know what that. Let's see. Yeah,
it seemed like it made a point of being like her going like, I don't want this book, and puts it back or something like that.
I don't know. But yeah, it's from somebody. It's from Fisher's library, I guess. I don't know who Fisher is.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was nobody named Fisher in this book, so I'm slightly confused by it. But she is like a romance novel fan. She's usually got some book or another that she's buying from this place and reading at night. And when she gets home, she sees that Galahad is there again. He's given all the neighborhood kids rides on his horse up and down the street. And she's like, hey, I'm glad you're here. I've got a bunch of shit in the attic that needs moving. Come on up. And puts him to work, moving stuff around. We get some these are my favorite panels of the book, I think, where we get some really nice stylized back and forth with Whitaker telling Galahad about her husband and how they met during the war and how they'd go dancing and she drank wine for the first time and all that kind of stuff. Very, very nice, like, stylized bits there. And then Galahad tells Mrs. Whitaker about his mother Elaine, who was maybe sort of a witch, and his grandfather King Pelles, and they live in the castle on the Joyous Isle, and his dad, who he knew as the Chevalier Malfait, who was completely mad, but also maybe he's Lancelot, who's just in disguise and has lost his mind or something.
Yeah, he has amnesia, yeah.
Yes. Lots of great details here, and I just love this, like, artistic style here. It's like anytime it gets into that super Arthurian kind of bit, it gets super flourishy and everything gets very like ultra detailed, and it's I love it. It's beautiful. And he brought more gifts this time as well. He brought 3 gifts because he really wants that Grail. He brought the Philosopher's Stone, which can transmute what is it, silver to gold? Is that what it is?
It's also the MacGuffin of Harry Potter 1.
That's yes.
It's probably more.
That's the title of Yeah, it's the title of Harry Potter 1, isn't it?
In England,
in
yes.
England, yeah, where they have soccer pitches. We have soccer fields in Harry Potter 1 and Quidditch fields.
Wait. So here in England, it was called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, and they called it. And they
what
changed
was it called here?
The Sorcerer's Stone. They wanted to make it clear to us that it was about wizards and not thinky people.
Philosophy. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. People, Americans do hate thinking. So.
We're not transmuting any gold here. Don't worry.
No,
we're not.
I don't know. I know Plato shit in my Scholastic book. No, thank you.
Yeah. So that was the first gift. Second gift is a phoenix's egg, which will hatch one day, and then eventually
just Dumbledore shit.
It's real Dumbledore shit, and it's
this
like
is all in Dumbledore's office. Okay, well,
it's pretty good. It's a good deal.
Dumbledore's like, this would look good on my mantle.
yeah. And the last gift is the Apple of Life, which, she picks up, and it's like instantly soft to the touch, and the juices are flowing out, and the juices smell like berries and the sweetest fruit ever. And if you eat this, it'll grant you youth and eternal life. And she's getting like visions of what she would be like if she was young again, and blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Oh, she says, no, you should not offer that apple to an old woman. I will take the other two gifts. 2 for 1 seems like a fair trade, but take this apple back. Thank you very much. And she takes her new gifts and she carefully arranges them on the mantle. The egg is a little bit hard to balance up there, but she gets it. I feel like you gotta put it on something, right? You need like one of those little egg holders or something. And Galahad is, he's got the grill now. And, she says, before you leave, you should really use the restroom first. I'll prepare like some stuff for you to take. She wraps up the grail in some old candy cane wrapping paper. Honestly, boy, she has done such a good job of like making things and wrapping them nicely for everybody. She kind of wraps the grail like shit, I thought, compared to everything else. Didn't she? It's like all, I don't know. Maybe it's hard to wrap a grail.
Yeah, it's a weird shaped cup. She didn't put it in a box, I guess, is the thing.
I mean, you don't need a box for a grail, though, right?
Tote bag.
Whatever. Tote bag, yeah. But then he's off, and she goes about her day. She goes to the post office to pick up her pension. She goes to the thrift shop. The girl is not there anymore. Maria's not there. She ran off with some guy on a horse. And the clerk who is there.
She had to see a man about a horse.
Yeah, the woman who's there is kind of pissed about that. She's like, I was supposed to work in this other town, and I got places to be over there, and my husband had to drive me all the way up here. And then Whitaker almost buys another object. It's Aladdin's magic lamp. She's like, on second thought, I don't need this. My mantle's pretty full already. And that's the end of the story. And you know what? There's not much to it, but it's just like, I don't know. It's really beautiful. I feel like I skipped over a few of the other artistic moment that I think is really just like, I don't know, it made this story worth it for me, is when she's getting the 3 gifts. Mm-hmm. And it's just all the art in those moments was like the closest point of reference, I think, for me is the who does all the cosmic Marvel stuff?
Starlin.
Jim Starlin. It like had that kind of, I don't know, it reminded me of that a little bit, and just that it's like, it's so out there and mystical, and it's like it doesn't necessarily like connect directly to the story, but it really does. It's just like a big part of making you feel the weight of everything. I really thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, my point of comparison was Mark Buckingham's Fables, which we've never covered on this show, but like always had really cool borders for all the pages, where there was like little action, kind of like tapestries almost, which is just going for a little, but like all those pages where she's thinking about becoming a younger woman, there's like different faces that are like kind of framed like picture frames, like bordering the pages that are really cool. And then the pages before that, like thinking about the apple, there's like all these cool like dragon fights, and it's just like really, really cool like 2-page spreads, which are very Starlin-esque, and also like a little Perez-esque when we talked about some of his more fantastical stuff, or this the Korvac Saga, whenever like they just went fucking apeshit and crazy.
Yeah. I love that page of the back-to-back where it's her as like imagining herself as young again, holding the apple, and then Galahad on the opposite picture. Like that's so cool. Cause I mean, Kia, you kind of glossed over it a little bit, but I feel like that's, after he leaves, like she's kind of crying. Like
I did. You're right. Yeah. I forgot about that completely.
She was kind of tempted by this apple, and she says no to it. And like, it seems like she's kind of resigned. Like, yeah, I'm going to get old and die. Like, but I've had a good life. Like, I loved my husband, and like, I loved, my life. And so I'm not going to, even though I have this magical opportunity to do this, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot to write that down. It was a very important moment. Thank you. And yeah, we didn't mention how short this is. It is only like 70 something pages. I mean, the book itself is 70 pages, but there's like bonus stuff in there. It might be closer to 50 or 60 pages. It's a super quick read, but it feels, I don't know, it feels dense at the same time. It like doesn't feel like, I definitely have never read a comic quite like this one. And so it stands out for that reason. I think it's very worth reading. Short, so there's not a ton to say about it, though. You know,
there's not, and that's why I like. But I immediately went and read Neil Gaiman's Study in Emerald, which is a similarly like short story that kind of thing that's only about 70 pages. And I checked out the Neil Gaiman library. There's 3 volumes of it from my library. It's just like 4 short stories and comics because it's just very pleasant. His short stories are fucking great. I highly recommend them. Like Smoke and Mirrors, I think is what I read. I need to look up the title of it. It was. I'll do that. As we vamp here. But yeah, any of his stuff is really good. Like it's just a short story, and I would read more of this. Absolutely.
I think short stories in general are just good. I think some authors, especially who I'm a big Philip K. Dick fan as well, and I don't think he's the best writer, but I think he's a great ideas guy. And so I like his short stories. Oh yeah, and so I'm a big fan of him. Just like get an idea out there, and then we're done with it. You can go on to the next idea and show me your cool idea, and you don't have to spend a whole novel on it.
We don't need 300 pages of this. We don't need to hang a whole story on it. It's like there's just some ideas and it's a vibe. Like, so what happened in this story? So this lady got the Holy Grail, and then this guy wanted it, and she said no, and then eventually he got her something, and she said, "Yeah, I'll take that." She was still kind of not satisfied. And then Twilight Zone-y is always my fucking point of comparison, which I need to get a new one. Is Twilight Zone like? Then she almost got a genie lamp, and I'm like, oh, just have the further adventures of her finding weird shit.
So did y'all think that maybe this was gonna be like, because she loves to read, that this was maybe gonna be like it's just her imagination and she's trying to fill her boring old life with something interesting or something like that?
Yeah,
like that's kind of where my mind was going.
Or it was gonna get like escalated, like she was gonna get tempted, and then things were gonna go off the rails from there. Like this was just like Act 1, and there was gonna be more stuff. And no, it wasn't. And I kind of like that, just kind of like pleasant,
me too.
Nothing happening.
I'm glad it didn't do either of those things. It was just like, no, it's just how real people would react to this kind of a situation. And that's it. Oh, beautiful.
There you have it.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to say about it. Y'all got anything?
I don't.
Let's move on to the Avengers. I feel like it's a weird contrast between the two, but Avengers 177 is what we're on. Boy, it's been a lot. We've been on the Korvac Saga for a while here, and we were confused for a while. We didn't know when it was going to get to the Korvac fireworks factory, but we did get there. And boy, yeah, we're ready to jump straight into it.
Yeah, this is like probably one of our shorter events, but I think because it covered a lot of ground and went like a lot of places. Like we started with like Two Gun Kid and Hawkeye on trains, and and here we are now, because we only started this in February. It's only been like 9 episodes, but yeah,
not too bad. Yeah, we're in Queens now. The Avengers have arrived at Michael Korvac's home, and we're ready to fight him. And Korvac knows that everybody is watching this. Odin is watching. Uatu the Watcher is watching, as he does. Eternity is watching. And the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy get summoned over there. They don't need to hail a bus. They've got like a ship that it just crashes out of the garage that they're at. And so they get there ASAP in a few minutes. The name, like all the homeowners in Queens are like telling their neighbors, yeah, the Avengers were here, they showed up, and like, yeah, sure, and blah blah blah's dating my cousin, whatever. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy show up. They go, call the cops. And Korvac is telling the Guardians of the Galaxy, like, y'all don't matter. It doesn't matter that you're here. And they say, well, Vance Astor will be here any minute. He's gonna help us. And he says, nope. As a matter of fact, let me show y'all. Here's an image of his space station that he's at. I'm going to display it up on the roof here. And watch as I explode it. And he just explodes it. The caption here is fucking savage. The caption says, that Vance Astro was meters away from the teleport chamber, but he died screaming.
Yeah.
Damn, that's pretty messed up. Also, another kind of what the fuck moment was when what was the woman's name who I guess was like Vance Astro's love, a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I remember
she
her
doesn't have a very good superhero name.
Right, it was like a basic, like regular person name, right? I can't remember, but she's like, so angry at it that she attacks him, and the captions are like, "Oh, he easily brushes away her emotional attack." Like, come on. But then she gets killed. Shit, and then Quicksilver attacks, and Quicksilver gets killed too. Oh my god, Quicksilver kind of deserved it though, to be honest. And everyone starts attacking. They're piling onto Korvac. They're getting nowhere. He's too powerful. Iron Man realizes, oh, we got to go after Karina, his girlfriend, to get to him. And so he yells at Black Panther, who's the closest. And Black Panther's like, I don't feel right about that. It doesn't feel honorable. But you know who does not care?
About
Yellow
hitting women.
Jacket.
Who does not care?
Yellow Jacket runs up to her. All he really does is just puts his hand on her shoulder. And
okay,
Korvac's
that's all he does. That's all he does.
That's all he does. That's all he does.
He doesn't slap her in the face.
He doesn't do that. Korvac is like, Karina, why aren't you using the power cosmic to defend yourself? And he blasts Yellow Jacket, and Yellow Jacket dies as well. Everybody's dying up in this storm. So at this point, I'm wondering how they're going to retcon all this, because I know these characters do not all die here.
Yeah, you're like, that's the end of Quicksilver.
I mean, yeah, because I could buy Quicksilver dying here and then coming back like a few years later. But now, also Yellow Jacket's dead. I'm like, wait a goddamn minute. And also, I could buy like all of the Guardians dying. I could also buy that. Like, who gives a shit?
100%.
I do really like one of my panels of the week is Yondu and Hawkeye both in the exact same pose, pulling their bows and arrows back together. It's a really good pose. Yeah. It's really nice.
I was definitely imagining their actor voices. I don't know their actor names, but their actor
Jeremy
voices.
Renner and Michael Rooker.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. And I wish the Michael Rooker Yondu was in this book. I really like him.
He's really good at that role. I think that would be fun to just put like all the Arrow people together. Like, I think he's dead in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Spoiler. But for a 6-year-old movie. But yeah, that would be fun to see him with Hawkeye and Hawkeye teaming up. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm. So Korvac makes a reference to issue 168, which we read at the beginning way back when. And now we are this is the reason we read it all. He says nobody would understand the love that he and Karina have together, except maybe Starhawk, because he saw the love that Starhawk and Aletta had together in that old issue, and that's what inspired him to find his own love. And he feels the most sorry for Jocasta, Ultron's wife, because she's just a robot who was made in the name of love, but she doesn't understand shit. And he destroys her or puts her down or whatever, and Jocasta's the last one down. Korvac's like, everyone's either dead or unconscious. But it's not true. Cap is starting to wake up. Captain America realizes the Korvac's guard is down, throws his shield, starts punching him, saying, "Hey, what do you say to that, God? I'm just a regular man, huh? How do you like that?" And so Korvac throws him through a wall and kills him. So Captain America's dead. This is where Captain America dies. Yikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonder Man then is attacking him, and he's like, "Hey, I've died before. I don't plan on doing it again. But I know I was brought back for something important. It's got to be this moment where I stop Korvac. That's what I was brought back for." But he dies too. Sorry, Wonder Man. You don't get much done.
He's got like a whole page of the fight. I was like, yeah, Wonder Man's going to finally get his time to shine. That's what we've been waiting for.
No. Sorry, Wonder Man. And then all the rest of the Avengers who are still alive, they get up and they do a full-on attack together. And they stagger him a bit, and then we get like some narration about Karina and what she's thinking about, because she hesitated once before when when Korvac was gonna kill her dad, the Collector, aka Benicio del Toro. She hesitated then, and it caused her dad to die. And she
Aren't you
hesitates.
glad we're reading this when you know who these characters are, not like
Yeah.
7 years ago where you're like, who?
Who's the collector? No, I think I knew who the collector was back then. Maybe.
I don't
know.
think I did. I mean, like, this is the first time that I saw Eternity, because I think the last time I saw Eternity, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is. And this time I was like, I've seen this before, so we're getting there. I think this book also just like sets things up a little better than however last time we had all those cosmic things. Like, it threw a lot at us with either Annihilation or the Adam Warlock stuff. Like, it threw a lot at us. Like, I mean, we've got some movie baseline stuff now that I still don't know who any of the Guardians are.
The old Guardians,
yeah. I mean, they're just bodies at this point.
They really are, and they even in this book, they're just treated like bodies, you know.
Like I know, I'm gonna bet that the blue guy is named Starhawk, even though I liked his character moments last issue. I still don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, I don't remember what he looks like.
Who is Vance Astro's younger version or older version? Is that Starhawk?
No, that's Justice from the New Warriors. And
Okay,
Avengers.
is he in here at all or no?
No, he's the one
who died on the.
I mean, he
space
died. They've been trying to protect Justice as like a little boy in New York. That's been like a subplot. But yeah, now his future self, Major Victory's dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Major Victory's his name?
So
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I didn't name him.
That's like, I thought Major Pain was starring Damon Wayans was a bad name, but I feel like Major Victory's worse. Okay, cool.
It's pretty bad.
It's Major Dad at the top, Major Pain, and then Major Victory at the bottom. That's my tier list.
So Karina hesitated before, caused her dad to die, because her lover killed her dad. Now she hesitated again, and it causes the Avengers to succeed and kill her lover. Or does it? So the Avengers are all attacking Korvac, and Korvac like starts glowing, and he's either stunned or he's dead and he's down. And the Avengers are like, I don't think we did that. What's going on here? But it seems like he's dying. Karina does blame the Avengers and starts lashing out at them, starts using the power cosmic. She's blasting them all crazy. And they're like, oh, wow, she is just as strong as he is, except now we're like, half of us are dead and we're all tired. Oh, shit. So there's like another big battle again. She's blasting all over the place. Iron Man's armor gets all fucked up. It's like falling to pieces. Everybody's fighting her. Thor warns her, like, oh, don't do anything else, or else I'll strike you with this hammer. And the hammer, like a blast of something, shoots her on its own. And she's dead now. Oh my goodness. But Thor didn't do that. So then Moondragon comes in, and Moondragon is telling Thor, actually, Korvac wasn't evil at all. He wanted to save us from eternity, and I could sense the remorse in him. So right before he died, he felt bad about killing everybody, so he brought them all back to life. And Thor is like, what? and she's like, but they're not all 100%. They're gonna need a doctor, so you should transform back to Donald Blake, because I know you're Donald Blake. So do that. And he's like, okay,
I'm not gonna help you do that.
Yeah. So Thor transforms back to Donald Blake, and then Moondragon kind of walks off and talks to herself, saying, I'm just gonna erase your memory of what I told you, and none of the Avengers will know that we killed a good guy. And I'm the only one who's going to have to live with it. and that's the end of the story. And I did kind of laugh at the end of this because it was pretty ridiculous, but also like I kind of want to know more about what was going on with all this. So, okay. My question was, at first I thought Moondragon shot the laser out of Thor's hammer, but what was that? What was that? Y'all know?
What? Just Thor attacking her?
Was it Thor? I got the sense that it wasn't Thor. Like Thor, I don't know. Maybe I need to look at this again. But for some reason, I was reading it, and it felt like Thor wasn't actually meaning to attack, and like something else killed her. Am I wrong?
I think just
wrong?
Thor is blasting her. That's what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's like holding it like, I don't want to do this. And then
Okay, so here's what it is. I'm looking at the panel. He said, Odin's beard, my hammer did strike against my will. She left herself undefended. The bolt struck her full, but. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe he was just like.
Yeah. He does make it seem like he wasn't trying to do it, but yeah, we don't reveal like who else would have done this. It seems like it's her, if anyone, is controlling it, because she wants to die. Yeah, it's very anticlimactic. By the way, Vince, the fire girl that died earlier, that was Nikki. That was who we couldn't remember the name.
Classic Nikki.
Terrible
favorite
name for a
character.
superhero.
That's worse than Major Victory.
I don't think she is in the movies. Like Starhawk is Sylvester Stallone and Alita is Michelle Yeoh. So like at least those are someone. They have like cameos in Guardians 2.
Boy, Nikki doesn't even get a movie.
Nikki, no one.
Michelle Yeoh gets to be 2 different Marvel characters, and Nikki doesn't even get one person to play her.
Nope.
Maybe they're saving Nikki to get her own like feature film.
Oh yeah, or at least a Netflix.
She's gonna get a Disney Plus series, definitely. Netflix. She'll get a Hulu show. They're not even gonna bump her up to Disney Plus.
Oh my goodness, poor Nikki.
On Freeform, it'll be right after Cloak and Dagger.
Did that come out?
Yeah, there's 2 seasons of Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There were 3 seasons of Runaways. It took them 2 years to even run away.
Oh my god! That first season of Runaways looked like I watched a trailer for it. I was like, "This is the whole season."
I know, right? Runaways, like 2004 me would have been a slam dunk for it because it was Runaways, which is a comic I loved at that time, and it was showrun by the OC showrunner. Like 2004 me would have been over the moon for it. It took them 2 years to run away. I can't even get to their premise.
So back to the Korvac Saga though. Boy, what an interesting read here. We really went on a journey with this book, didn't we? Where it felt like there was a lot packed into these last couple of issues. Really, a lot packed into this one issue, and the whole book here was essentially one giant fight scene, which is kind of okay, actually. I really liked it, and it felt like it still told a lot of story and got a lot of important character stuff in throughout the one big fight scene, you know?
It divided up its like it divided up its like fights really well, so like everybody got a moment, which is what you really need to do in these kind of things, as opposed to just like where I think in the event books sometimes things get lost, where it's just a bunch of people just kind of like in the background.
Yeah. That said, I don't know that this was good necessarily. I don't know.
I think if you said somebody like, here's an arc called the Korvac Saga, you'd be like, what? Like, I don't feel like it was a Korvac Saga at all. I put the emphasis on a lot of weird syllables there multiple times. But like the Kree Skrull War makes sense as a collection, even though it has some deviations. The Dark Phoenix Saga doesn't spend all its time on the Dark Phoenix Saga, but you're still like, okay, yeah, satisfying story, beginning to end. I can see where this is going. This book seems to forget Michael Korvac exists for half of it. The fact that the writers and the artists change constantly doesn't help the fact. But as hanging out with a Year of Avengers in the 70s book, great, fantastic.
Very good. You're right.
That's my theory on that. If you want to read some good 70s Avengers comics, this is pretty good. Chris, I know you've read a lot of Avengers comics. Not a lot of it is good. And this feels pretty good.
I loved it from that point of view. From the point of view of, just see a Year of the Avengers. It is, I think giving it the name the Korvac Saga is probably the biggest sin. Like, I just want it to be just like, hey, we're just reading some Avengers. They're going to run into some different villains. There's a guy named Korvac who shows up at the beginning. He'll come back at the end. And he's treated like a big deal. Like, it does feel like damn, he's killing people. And he's got the power to bring them back. Holy shit, you know?
Yeah, I think the fact that, like, the Collector was the one kidnapping everybody and not Korvac throws off the story. Like if
and
Yeah.
if Korvac
if
had been
the
doing
collector is
that,
going to be doing that, it should be because of Korvac. Like it should be,
Right.
he should be like, oh, I'm trying to fight Korvac, so I need like a team to, get together to
Well,
battle this guy. But that's not really what happens.
well, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that what they said he was kind of doing in like one of the recaps?
I
But
thought he was just saving them because he's like, y'all are gonna die if you fight Korvac. So this way.
yeah, I felt like I needed just like a little bit more of that, just to connect the dots a little bit more, because then all of a sudden Korvac just kills the collector, and it's like whoa, 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 wait, what? But it was also a super cool moment, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird book. It's weirder to look at it like freaking 50 years later, right? And just
well, and like Marvel Unlimited puts it together like as a collected thing. And I'm like, I don't think that's the case. Okay.
yeah, like putting all these issues out as a trade and calling it the Korvac Saga when so much of it is not about Korvac, it's just weird.
Yeah,
But
it's interesting, and it reminds me. I think this is after the original Phoenix Saga, or it's close to contemporary with it, but it's definitely before Dark Phoenix, which I think is a better sort of version of this kind of story. Of you want to have this sort of cosmic forces, interacting and dealing with the characters. Like I feel like Dark Phoenix does it better. Because it's similar in that it's all of the X-Men fighting Jean, which is like, that's cool. And then Jean like joining them at the last second for whatever reason and fighting the aliens. But feels like a rough draft to me of that.
yeah. But still, like, again, worth reading and very, very interesting, and like just cool to see this year of the Avengers. I'm not sure how many other ways we can say it. I still enjoyed it, even if it was just kind of weird and anticlimactic. And Moondragon is like the most important character here, out of nowhere.
Yeah. One day we'll have to rank all the different long reads we've done between like the Secret Wars and Crisis and All Star and Squadron Supreme.
Yeah.
I still feel like Squadron Supreme is probably my favorite out of all of these.
Still a good book.
Yeah.
That was definitely the most unexpectedly that I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. But it is time for a new long read. And boy, tough year for DC artists, huh? We part of one of the reasons we decided to read the Korvac Saga is because George Perez had a hand in some of those issues early on that we were reading. And now we've lost Tim Sale as well.
As well as Neil Adams earlier this year.
And Neil Adams, oh my goodness, yeah. So we read some Tim Sale fairly recently. We did.
We've not been too kind to Tim Sale. For as good of an artist he is, we've not been kind to his books.
We have not, but it's rarely the artist like that we're criticizing, though. It's usually the writer, Jeff Loeb. So that's why we're doing another Jeff Loeb Tim Sale book. Look, the two of them collaborated together a ton, right? And Tim Sale's art style is very. I don't know. It just lends to a lot of like homage books. No, that's not the right word. Like period pieces. What am I trying to say? Recaps, old retellings of stuff, right? And so Jeff Loeb, his writing style is very,
and also like outside like normal continuity. I don't know if Sale did anything in normal continuity, or if it was always. I
feel like I was looking at his Wikipedia bit, like just bibliography, and there's so. It's all like a lot of Spider-Man blue, Hulk gray, all the Daredevil yellow, all the like origin story type things.
Or just like a nice retelling of a classic, like kind of, or another spin on stuff. We did Long Halloween for him. We've done what did we just do? Dark Victory, which I think I liked more than y'all did, but I wouldn't say is great. But yeah. I still say his solo issue is a lot of fun. That book is something we'll have to figure out how to cover that, or just go check it out. There's his issues on DC Infinite. It's a whole issue of his where they just let him fucking go with a bunch of writers he liked, and they gave him like 48 pages to do whatever the hell he wanted. There's a Darwin Cook issue that's similar. Go check that out. It's great.
So we for our next long read, we are gonna do. It's not gonna be that long of a read, though. To be honest, we're gonna do Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. It's only 4 issues. Came out in 1998, so we're just gonna do those for the next 4.
Yeah, I think
Figure that'll be a nice
instead of a month, it's every issue is a season. That's the hook.
Yeah.
I never read it.
And yeah, I've never read it either. Actually, I've always meant to read that. Maybe I have. Oh boy, tough to remember what you've read. But that'll be our long read, and then our regular read for next time is going to be a long time ago we read the Ocarina of Time manga, and we're gonna read the Majora's Mask manga now. Legend of Zelda. By Akira Himekawa, which is a pen name for two female writer-artist creators who did the Majora's Mask manga.
We'll see how it Zelda goes. Manga and different art styles each time. They did all the Oracle ones. They did a new Link to the Past one, not the one that was Ninja Power. And I think they did a Twilight Princess one that just is ending. It's like 12 volumes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, multiple parts.
Wow.
I Link gets his hand cut off
during
and stuff.
Free Comic Book Day, and it's like part like 7 or 8. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, Link is like got his hand cut off. I'm like, I don't remember. I did not pay attention totally to the video game, but like, yeah, like I just read the first half of that Twilight Princess one, and like Midna's like a pretty princess, which I'm like, that is not how the video game starts out. So much different. But Majora's Mask. Let's refocus that on that.
One we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just
so Majora's Mask.
Video game just came out on the Nintendo 64 expansion thing for the Switch. You can play it on the Switch. 3DS game from about 7 or 8 years ago now. Big video game. This was written contemporaneously with the video game's release in 2000. So that's when it came out in Japan.
One of the very last N64 games.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll see how it compares. Or maybe we won't. I've never played it. I might try to play it.
I played about half the game. Chris is a mega fan of the game, and yeah,
it'll be fun to talk
It might be my favorite Zelda game. It's definitely like top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll do our Zelda rankings next time as well.
That's right.
We'll have our hot takes there.
Breath of the Wild,
next time,
Wind Waker, and then a whole lot less.
I said next time.
Okay.
Jeez, don't give it away.
Triforce Heroes is at the bottom.
Now they're not going to come back.
Wand of Gamelon, number 1.
So yeah, next time Majora's Mask and Superman for All Seasons. What else is going on, Chris? What's your Stupid Minds up to?
Your Stupid Minds just released an episode recently on Three Ninjas Kickback. We're doing reverse chronological order of the Three Ninjas movies. We did the 4th one in a text review. We did the 3rd one in a podcast. And now the 2nd one in a podcast.
Wow.
It's a fun episode. A lot of people have nostalgia for these Three Ninja movies, and boy, oh boy, this one it's a movie.
I love the first one.
Nostalgia for sure.
I love the first Three Ninjas. It says on the box, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets Home Alone. But I never saw the 2nd one, and I didn't see High Noon and Mega Mountain. Did the 3rd one, was that also just direct to video, or did that one come out in theaters?
The 2nd one came out in theaters. I don't think the 3rd one did, and we talk about it a little bit. There's a big story about the 3rd one. It was actually filmed 2nd, released 3rd for reasons that are too complicated to get into here.
Did y'all get into the podcast? I'm only about halfway through the episode.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But it involves North Korea, as you would expect, Kia. But that means that Rocky is recast in Kickback, and the guy who plays him can't talk. Like, he can barely speak.
See, okay, so that's how it felt. Like the 3rd one was marketed as like the Rocky Returns, but it was actually filmed before the 2nd one. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. So the 3rd one, was that Knuckle Up?
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I thought that was the 2nd one, so maybe I was right all along.
You're right in the order that it was filmed. Yes.
Okay.
And in addition to Your Stupid Minds, I was also recently a guest on, speaking of video games from the Nintendo 64, I was on Games My Mom Found podcast talking about Perfect Dark for about an hour and a half. So that was also a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah, I just downloaded that episode today. I'm excited about
that. Vince, what's up with you?
Nothing's up with me. Just goofing around playing video games. Just kind of hanging out. Doing nothing.
Yeah.
That was a game is on hiatus right now because I just not feeling it. So we'll see if I come back.
Fair enough. Hey, that's how it goes with these things sometimes. You gotta do what you're feeling. And I'm feeling like I'm ready for the summer because it's been a school year. It's been a school year. But with that, I think it's time to wrap things up. Vince, thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too, Kia.
Chris, thank you so much. I love you.
I love you. Oh God, I'm being blasted by some energy.
Every time something happens to this damn guy. And I'm Kia. Thank you, listener. We love you as well. Thanks so much for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.